I'm a TV Nanigan and I love Survivor. Can you tell? Well, in reality, I like watching a lot of reality TV competitions. I guess I have just always been into this idea of people being eliminated one by one, even in video games. And while I watch plenty of those type of shows, my favorite will always be the show with a man in a cargo shorts and a cool hat. Sometimes glasses as well. I didn't necessarily grow up with Survivor, I just found it through the internet while exploring the Total Drama Wiki one day. Yeah, I'm still a bit embarrassed about that. Anyways, I found the show and then I proceeded to binge watch it for months. It was the only thing I watched at the time. I fell in love with it. I saw every season in order and that is probably the best way to experience Survivor. I got to see the story develop over time and how the most legendary characters came into existence and evolved. And the community around the show, I think is awesome as well. Thank you for watching my video, by the way. So, I was watching YouTube and I came across a very interesting idea. Inspired by YouTuber JelloApocalyse, who has a series of videos reviewing every Disney, Pixar, DreamWorks, Ghibli animated movie in 10 words or less, I like the concept of trying to sum up every Survivor season in 10 words or less, and see how I fare. If you don't know how it goes, let me explain the rules for you. Let me get you in the in, baby. On the bottom here in the parchment, I put my very humorous summaries of the season, keeping it 10 words or less. Here on the left, in the little bamboo frame, is where I'll put the cast of the Survivor season and a little superlative below to make fun of the season a little more. And here on the right by the torch is the season's info and the ratings I give to each one of them. I put colors on the torch fire to distinguish them better, but then, what do these numbers mean? 1 means I hated absolutely everything about this season. There's no enjoyment for me at all. 2 means I hated almost everything about it, save for a couple of highlights. 3 means I disliked it overall, but I can't tolerate it. 4 means it is an okay season that I ultimately disliked. 5 means I have no strong opinions of one way or the other on this season. 6 means it is an okay season that I ultimately liked. 7 means a decently good season that's worth a watch. 8 means a great season that I recommend watching. 9 means an amazing season and a must watch for anyone. And 10 means perfection for my taste. They have flaws and I know of their flaws, but I couldn't have enjoyed them more than I did. But hold on, you may see that some numbers have a negative sign next to them. And no, this doesn't mean I super hated them. It means ironic enjoyment. I like the season better when I didn't take it seriously because sometimes a train wreck of a season is way better than a boring one. I'm gonna be reviewing all 40 seasons of Survivor from Borneo in 2000 to Winners at War in 2020. And as a bonus, I'll throw in the 5 Australian seasons that have aired since 2016, because I also really like those. At the end of the video, and just for fun's sake, I'll tell you about my 5 favorite and 5 least favorite seasons of Survivor and why they are that way. And remember, this is just for fun. I allow you to disagree with my opinions. And with nothing else to add... Come on in, guys! Oh, so that's what an alliance does! All-time amazing characters in a season that drags. The strategy is okay? Who cares? It's so full of personality! For a season that changed many conventions, it's surprisingly forgotten. Mr. Freeze makes a season feel very cold and hopeless. Get ready to go to Sternina for the rest of time. I can be amazing too, what the f***? You love these people? Not anymore! Ha! This season played out so unbelievably it sounds scripted. One tribe's annihilation creates complex dramatic dilemmas. Don't watch this season if you have ADD, man! Find out how one alliance can carry an entire season! Possible disaster twists into the very definition of it's okay. The producers didn't think this through, huh? The season of hysterical complaining. Not only are the fans outmatched, but the men too! This season is not strategic, it's strictly personal.
Country boy, I love you.
Survivor introduces the main villain of the franchise. Big time Survivor rumbled amidst every fan's expectations. Easily the season with the most cringe-worthy moments. Jeff Probst's wet dream is also my worst nightmare. Are you interested in a Lord and Savior coach? My god, it's been 3 seasons, can something please happen? A roller coaster of emotions, illusions, and baffling decisions. If you don't like cock and f*** you. A strange concept leads to really unique situations and strategies. So full of crazy characters and memorable moments, it's insane. The best revenge story survivors ever told. Unstoppable hero versus axis of evil. Literally a superhero comic. A strategy happens to underdeveloped characters at random, I guess. A worthy swan for unique season locations. Fiji forever! Very emotional and very aware of it. Survivor fanfiction. The bad kind. The end characters? Great! The end game? Hate! 1 point for the premiere, the finale, and the merge. All hail the Rice Queen for the season-long comedy. Full of bull, but the ending's funny. With great momentum comes great crash and burning. That ending was worth the price of the pre-merge. I don't want to hear the word mateship ever again. Everyone is having so much fun, it's contagious. It drags, but the winner's path to victory is unbelievable. Way more amazing than it had any right to be. This season peaks on episode 3 out of 24. That's all of them. That was a fun ride, everyone. I just know you guys disagree with my opinions, but the fun of Survivor is that everyone enjoys it in their own way. Whether you like the strategy of the game itself, or the cool challenges, or the dramatic moments, I, myself, like to see great storytelling by the season's characters and a satisfying ending. And that is what determines my favorite and least favorite seasons, which, let's talk about them. I'm going to start with my 5th worst season and then alternate between talking about my favorite and least favorite seasons, like 5th worst, 5th best, 4th worst, 4th best, 3rd worst, etc, etc. You got that?
Survivor's ready.
Bottom 5th, Survivor Island of the Idols. This season was actually being pretty decent in its first half, with some important talks about race, gender and cultural differences, and a number of memorable and well-liked characters. But this season suffers from probably the most momentum-stopping episode of all, with a highly controversial incident that leaves a huge stain on the second half of the game, where people fail and succeed depending on where they stand regarding this incident, and no one has a full picture of what exactly happened. You may have to look up the details of the incident yourself if you don't know about it for the sake of keeping this video short, but it's probably the darkest moment that the show's ever had, especially with how the game played out after. It's a situation that transcends the game and turns into a real life issue. Previously likable characters turn into jerks, characters that remain likable are voted off immediately, and a character that should have been removed earlier than he was stays long enough to have a viable winning path, which may be why he was removed. It's just the kind of thing that you feel icky watching, and it impacts the whole second half of the season. It's not an isolated incident either, it actively influences the results of the game, and at that point you're just rooting against 2/3 of the people left in the game. It's like a cloud of disgust hanging off the latter half. I know many people that couldn't bear to finish the season due to their circumstances. I myself did finish the season, but it killed any kind of goodwill that I felt for it before. Add to that a dumb twist that only serves to randomize the flow of the game, a lot of time wasting segments regarding the twist featuring people who we already know too much of, that horrible bait and switch data narrative pool playing on the frustration of the imbalance of gender in the winners of recent Survivor seasons and then pulling the carpet below us, while giving us one of the blandest, most forgettably edited winners of all time, and this season is not fun to watch at all. The only good thing it has going for it are a couple of entertaining occurrences on the first half and Jamal and Janar's cinnamon rolls, but the second half is unredeemable. Top 5 baby! Survivor Pearl Islands. A true Survivor classic. This is the first season where the main characters feel like they're larger than life, not like any Joe Schmo that you meet in an office or something. The big lovable hero of the season is this huge bearded guy that bases his personality on whatever the season's theme is. And since Pearl Islands has a team of pirates, he's going to be the greatest pirate of all time. He grows, barters and steals not only some tribe-made shoes, but also the hearts of the audience. The big bad villain is this lanky dude that plays up this despicable personality that is directly inspired by the huge wrestling personalities of the past, complete with a catchphrase and a cheesy pose. And man, does he do a damn good job at it. I hated him so much on my first watch. But now I can appreciate how forward-thinking he was in not only the character he played, but in the strategies he pulled, pushing the boundaries of what's acceptable to lie about in a game for $1 million. You have an old lady trapped in a scout uniform that always looks like she's the saddest person in the world, and bad things are constantly happening to her until she says fuck it and brings everyone who wronged her down. And finally, Sandra, who's the anti-hero of the season, constantly switching between wanting to eliminate the villains of the season because she thinks they're annoying and having to work with them to ensure her survival in a game, and if the other people have had to play up their characters for the television. Sandra is one of the most natural, entertaining personalities that Survivor has ever had. She's probably the person that Survivor fans love to quote the most, and she isn't even trying to be memorable most of the time. She just isn't afraid to call people out. And this season is basically the normal people reacting and falling victim to the antics of these 4 characters, and it all builds up to one of the best endings in any season of reality television. For one of the earlier seasons, it is insanely entertaining and fun, and it's way ahead of its time. I'm in awe. Bottom 4th, Survivor One World. The cast of this season kills this idea, which in itself could be interesting. Instead of making the tribes live far away from each other, they put both tribes in one camp living together. This could have led to so many interesting deals and inter-alliances, but they instead also divided the season into a man versus woman format, and they promptly casted the dumbest tribe ever in Survivor, the men's tribe. A tribe full of incompetent players, tryhards hogging the screen time, and jerks. Except you, Jonas, you're cool. The women's tribe was better, but not good either, though honestly their major offense was that most of them were pretty forgettable. It doesn't matter though, because they were all outmatched and stunned by the Survivor Terminator herself, Kim Spratlin, arguably the most dominant winner in Survivor history. And honestly, watching the Terminator effortlessly step over everyone is the most fun you'll have watching this season, and it isn't that fun. The people are dumb and boring, they never offer any opposition, and they all fall down to Kim's game like toy soldiers. Kim herself isn't even a very exciting personality, she's very robotic and game oriented, hence why I'll call her the Terminator. We never really get to know her much personally. The Survivor lore about her being this unstoppable machine of the game is much more fun to think about. But the season isn't just boring, it also gets really mean at points. This was at a time when Survivor thought that casting controversially mean and weird people meant quality entertainment, and thus we got 2 of the worst Survivor characters of all time, Colton and Alicia. We both think bullying minorities in the minority will make them endearing and iconic to the audience. Seriously, they are both part of some of the rudest, meanest, most downright discriminatory moments in the show's history, and they are 2 of the most hated Survivor characters ever, actual criminals notwithstanding. There is, however, one shining light coming from this abyss, and that is Kat's final jury speech. Kat is often seen as one of the weirdest and least aware players of all time, and probably the poster child for the dumb blonde stereotype, and she's voted out in one of the most savage betrayals, courtesy of Kimball Spradillion and crew. So I expected her not to have a pleasant final speech toward the finalists, but I was blindsided myself, as she delivers an honest, heartwarming speech about not wasting her time being angry because she doesn't know how much time she could have left, and instead chooses to smile, forgive, and move on. This deep speech coming from Kat of all people, and knowing the backstory of why she thinks this way is simply amazing. It's honestly one of my favorite jury speeches to listen back to. It even broke the Kimball to cheers, so that is at least a heartwarming ending message for such a mean and dull season. Top 4, baby! Survivor San Juan Del Sur. This season is an acquired taste. I know it can be such a slow burn in the beginning, but if you stick with it through to the end, you get one of the most perfect storylines in reality TV. If I was a reality TV hater, I might have thought the way this season plays out was scripted. Natalie's journey through San Juan del Sur is pure perfection. It's basically a revenge story, and there have been a few of them throughout Survivor history, but this is the best of them all because it isn't just about one season, it's about 2 completely different shows. Yes, this season is better appreciated when you know the backstory of the twinnies from The Amazing Race. If you don't, basically they're loud, cunning, and their story revolves about how inseparable they are. But in this season, they are immediately separated when one of them is the first person voted off, and the rest of the season is the remaining twin slowly planning out her next steps in avenging not only her sister, but her allies that fall along the way. It's amazing. It's like its own action movie directed by Tarantino, like Survivor or Kill Bill. The second half of the season is basically that movie, with Natalie going for kill after kill after kill, with some of the most well thought out plans, shocking fake outs, clever acting jobs, and plenty of satisfying payoffs. It's an incredibly rush of gameplay, it's amazing. Some of these moves that Natalie pulls are so out of the box and clever that they haven't been repeated since. It's a season that has a unique feel to it, and I love it a lot. Besides, it has plenty of fun side characters and stories, a lot of funny moments throughout, a huge audience fan favorite in Kid Bill Kid, and a very memorable final speech. It's something you have to see to believe. Bottom third, Survivor Redemption Island. Gee, I wonder what would happen if you put someone who's already played Survivor 3 times against a cast of newbies who don't know what they're doing. I wonder what we'll get. This season was conceived because Survivor found itself the biggest rivalry in its history. Rob vs Russell, two of the show's most legendary villains and characters. They battled for controlling the amazing Heroes vs Villains, where Russell won the battle, but they flirted with the idea of a rematch in the reunion show. The producer's panties must have been a level 5 cyclone when this idea was brought up. A season where Rob and Russell have the stage to rally their troops and go at each other? Sounds epic! Oh no. No, instead you get a season that is recommended by 9 out of 10 doctors to combat sleep deprivation. This season would put Tony to sleep. It's a season where nothing ever happens. I was tired of seeing Rob. I was tired of seeing Russell for the 3rd time in 4 seasons. It's always a horrible idea to put veteran players against a cast of newbies because they always get to the end. We don't need to see these players again, just let the new ones make a name for themselves. But no, we have to see this dumb concept play out, and it plays out in the worst ways. Instead of an epic battle, Russell gets eliminated pretty easily by his tribe, and Rob is left without any competition. He grabs the game by its balls and comes up with an absurd loyalty system that shouldn't ever work, but because these people are new and delusional and don't know what they're doing, they obey Rob's every command, and whoever steps out of line, well, they sleep with the fishes. There's a reason why Rob is nicknamed the Godfather. He's just untouchable all game long. No one can do anything about it. When he reaches the middle of the season with a majority, you can tell it's already over. The season is the slowest, most depressing march to victory for one of the show's most overexposed players. It's predictable both off after predictable both off, and it's frustrating to see that no one is able to counter it. It's all about Rob and his 3,000 confessionals, and the rest of the cast is annoying as well. So many frustrating, delusional and passive players who act a little too late, and one of the most obnoxious castaways to watch. It's all so ugly. It's one of those seasons that feels rigged. Yeah, Rob played an impressive game, but this was his 4th time playing against first timers. It doesn't feel fair. Oh, and because they didn't want to risk losing their stars so early, this season features a comeback twist where players can come back out of being voted out by winning carnival games every episode, which means every episode we have less time to get to know the contestants just so we can watch a dumb challenge going on every episode. Why am I even complaining? That time would have been used for like 30 more Rob confessionals. I only give it a 2 because despite all of this complaining, I do like Rob. I just don't like him when he's on top. But he has some pretty badass confessionals, so that's 1/2 of a point more. And Russell cries, so 1/2 a point for that too. Top 3, baby! Australian Survivor 2019. I don't care. I'm aware of the uneven editing. I'm aware of the contestant that got serious confessionals through her time out there. I'm aware of the disparity between the champions and the contenders tribe. I'm aware of all the editing faults this season has. What I am ultimately watching Survivor for are the fun stories and characters, and Australian Survivor 2019 has some of my favorite stories in all of Survivor. And it's a whole season of amazing story after amazing story after amazing story, and great payoff after great payoff after great payoff. Seriously, so many events are simultaneously built up early on, and through the season they keep paying off or diverting into new fun sub-stories that then deliver more fun conclusions. The put order is almost perfect. When someone is getting too tired or doesn't have much else to offer, well, that's where it ends. They get eliminated. And then it focuses on the rest of the characters. Yeah, the characters! We have some of the most memorable new players in not only the Australian version, but in the whole Survivor franchise. The perfect big bad villain character that's hard to get rid of, the making of one of the best Survivor characters ever in any version, a very improbable but exciting journey for Australian Survivor's most beloved character that no one saw coming, with the most heartbreaking, bittersweet ending since he in Micronesia. I can't emphasize how much I love Luke and his journey to the show. I can't believe his story is as perfect as it is in 2019. There's also plenty of shocking moments, plenty of memorable rivalries. I dare say this is one of the funniest seasons to watch all the way through. The main protagonists are top tier, the lesser personalities are still a lot of fun and so lovable. I remember falling in love with this season more and more the more I watched it. The only bad thing about it is that Survivor likes to throw in a couple of pointless twists that just interrupt the flow of the game, and that leads to a kind of a dead spot in the post-merge, but nevertheless, it doesn't affect how much I love everything else. I started watching Survivor live in 2016, and this season is the most fun I've had following a season live out of any that I have watched. It was seriously a journey that I'll always keep with me. Bottom second, Survivor Thailand. If Fighting of the Idols had a momentum stopping episode, this was a momentum stopping season. Survivor seasons since the first one were getting better and better. The characters were getting more and more memorable. Strategy was stepping into new unexplored terrains. Yes, the Alpha Tribe leader could be taken out before the merge. Yes, the dude running the Majority Alliance could be toppled. Things were finally advancing. Thailand pretty much undid all of that. It's just tragic. It's a season where basically one person runs the whole game with no opposition. But more than it being incredibly boring, it actually drains my happiness. This season is hopeless and mean-spirited all the way through. There are a couple of kind, lovable people in the season, but they don't come out on top. They lose the battle for the majority and they are picked off one after the other by the much uglier, boring, and frankly awful tribe. Ugh. The Cagayan tribe, I swear, is one of the most unlikable tribes ever. I hate almost every one of them, and the ones I don't hate, I don't like either. This season also has a huge controversial stain on it with the Ted Gandhi situation, another scandal that transcends the game and gets very personal, and in which the apparent victim ends up suffering from it, but then it comes out that there were other details, and it's another one of those things that you have to look up and come to a conclusion yourself. Thinking about this season just makes me hate it more, and there are no happy endings. It's cold, calculated, and hopeless. It is a grim reminder that there could be some flaws with the show's format and who ultimately gets rewarded for it. The winner is often described as a borderline sociopath, and while it's interesting to watch in a morbid curiosity kind of way, I just feel icky knowing that he's a winner. The runner-up is even worse. I can't stomach someone who openly admits he beats his kids. Do you trust his face? The others range from annoying to boring. This season also holds some of the most forgettable castaways of all time. This is a season where the audience constantly loses. It's revolting. It's one of those seasons where I would actively recommend people to skip it. Only one person returns from it, and they're frankly not that great a character either. You gain nothing watching this season. In fact, I dare say you lose your hope on continuing to watch Survivor after this season. There is only one bright spot in the whole thing, and that is Rob's arc of finding himself through an epiphany. It's a very special story that no one else but Rob has on Survivor, and it's pretty heartwarming. I consider giving Thailand a 2 just for that episode, but Rob gets voted out in it, so even that has a downer ending. One it is. Top 2, baby! Survivor Heroes vs Villains. This is something special. More than just a good season of Survivor, it's an experience. It's an experience that you have to build up yourself by following Survivor since its beginnings in the 2000s. If you want to start watching Survivor, it's always a good idea to start from the beginning, no matter how slow some of these seasons might be, because these types of seasons are so much more worth it when you complete a journey. This season is a celebration of 20 seasons and 10 years of the show, and it brings back 20 of Survivor's greatest characters from the last 10 years. And they don't skimp out on it. These are really some of the show's most legendary personalities. Characters coming back from all the way back in season 2 when Survivor was much more of an adventure documentary than a game. Characters that we thought were forgotten gems get their chance to shine again. We have the most popular characters of the last year. Okay, yeah, sure, some of them are questionable choices and there were definitely players that should have been here, but from what we got, this is one of the best casts the show has ever assembled, and every character delivers in some way. Heck, some even over-deliver. You want to see more evil Russell antics? He becomes a fucking maniac. You want to see Roper get into the theme? Well, he's going to act like the second coming of Jesus. More cutthroat Parvati goodness? Oh, you got it. Sandra keeps talking shit to everyone and fighting with an even bigger villain the last time. She and Courtney make this one of the most quotable seasons of all time. Hell, some characters get a new side of them explored. They get depth. Coach's big ego finally gets destroyed and he becomes a little man. JT forgets about being the golden boy hero and becomes a sneaky villain. Rob is finally bested at his own game in a shocking manner. Lovable gravedigger James turns into a huge jerk out of nowhere. Tom and Siri show their vulnerabilities, and Colby, one of Survivor's earliest and greatest heroes, transforms into a wimp that has fallen out of love with the game but still retains his fighting spirits. The development of the characters that we know and love makes this season a miracle that it is. The gameplay is good, sure, it's not the best, but what's special about this season is that it showed us that our favorite characters were still as good as ever. They even make watching the reunion show worth it. It's the best reunion show of any season in Survivor. They all shine through in this season. Almost every character here belongs in the legendary category. It's like they're all playing in their prime before life and age take a toll on them. And it's all thanks to this season that we can see many of them riding the highs to the highs for one last time before the sunset. It's like playing the adventure mode from Smash Bros. Brawling, seeing all these iconic characters interact with each other in fun ways. It's a season that comes once in a lifetime. I know many people want this idea of heroes versus villains to come back, but honestly, I don't think anything could ever top the experience of this event. It had all the right people, it played out in all the right ways, it has the most memorable quotes and moments. It is a season that people keep discussing almost daily. This season is the greatest gift a Survivor superfan could ever ask for. Bottom worst, Survivor Caramon. All these other bad seasons that I talked about, they're mostly just boring with some bad moments here and there, sometimes everywhere. But Survivor Caramon is the only season where I feel it was despicable by design. It was constructed to make me hate everything about it, and it does it just all so well. It's horrible. Sitting through it is torture. I can't say Caramon is the most boring season, but I can say that Caramon is the cruelest season. It feels cruel all the way throughout, down to the production aspect. This season is a sequel to the first Fans vs Favorites, a very popular season with a concept that isn't that fair to begin with. I mean, you're pitting a tribe of newbies against a tribe full of returning players. It's already cruel against the fans. But I shouldn't feel bad, because this tribe of fans apparently weren't fans at all. They were mostly recruited and they have no idea how to play. And it's not like it matters anyway, because most of them don't even get a lick of airtime, instead being ignored in favor of the tribe of favorites, which they're nowhere near the audience's actual favorites. They casted this season purely by shock value and cheap conflicts, and I can't emphasize enough that it is cruel what they made these people go through to get their entertainment. They casted a person whose only reputation is being voted off first against a jerk that made them get voted off first in the first place. And guess what? She gets voted off first again! That's cruel. They casted one of the most infamously rude tryhards with one of the worst Survivor moments of all time just to let her talk some more about other people. They casted two people who were not mentally fit to play Survivor. They were not well. They didn't need the stress of the game. They were here because they all assure some conflict and drama. Well, guess what we got? One of the worst, most hard to watch Survivor scenes ever, where Brandon has a violent meltdown that only serves to humiliate him, complete with a delusional jerk making the situation worse because these are people who should not be playing again, but they are here because they create drama. Do you like seeing a mother cry? Too bad, because that's what you get for almost the entire season. Do you like having a situation where a kind person is forced into a lose-lose situation that screws over an entire game? Too bad, here she is getting voted off for having to give away a reward she won. Do you like having said kind person do a complete 180 and perform one of the most disgusting final tribal council speeches of all time that's targeted towards the mother? Here you have it! Oh what? You're making the mother, who's the victim of the situation, apologize to that person in front of an entire audience in the reunion? In a reunion where half the cast is missing because the person who they should not have casted is not permitted to go to because they're not mentally well? To make it worse, this is another one of those seasons where one person just steamrolls their way to the end. So all the airtime is dedicated to them, and this person is one of my least favorite players ever. Cochran just adds to the cruel feel of the season, and he constantly reminds me why I hate the superfan nerd archetype in Survivor. He's constantly talking shit about people who have nothing to him, he only does it to get camera time, he plays up this snarky nerd character that's oh so much better than everyone else, and the only one playing the game. It's so forced and infuriating. It's even worse that he gets no punishment for all the smug shit talking he does. He's rewarded with a perfectly played $1 million at the end. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. He's my least favorite winner of all time in terms of me being satisfied with the result. Alright, Cochran in real life is cool, don't hate on him. This is a trashy season. This is what you would find below a barrel. Everything about it was designed to create shock and drama in the ugliest ways possible. And that results in the ugliest, unfunniest, most horrible casted, most infuriating, most despicable, least satisfying, indisputably worst season of Survivor. I don't care about any of the gameplay, I don't care about any of the little fun moments that it may have. I don't care about the dog bar, I don't care about the winning game. I don't want to watch a season where cruel storylines are constantly happening. This is a Jersey Shore of Survivor, full of cheap drama and horrible contestants that are there because it guarantees trashy entertainment. This is the trashy television that people who hate reality TV think Survivor belongs with. I'm sad that there is a season that they can point to that validates their feelings. This season sucks the hardest and the longest, and it's the worst season of Survivor by far. Top best, baby! Survivor Cagayan. Yeah, this is the obvious answer, bite me. I think it's pretty clear so far that I enjoy Survivor more for the characters that it has. But if you're someone who loves watching the gameplay more, that's cool too. This season gives us fans the Hannah Montana treatment. It's the best of both worlds. It's an A+ in gameplay and an A+ in its characters. This season is a miracle. It shouldn't exist. It shouldn't have played out the way it did. It's a unicorn of a season that is a blast to watch. It starts with a blast of memorable flameouts, the middle is a blast of insane gameplay and unpredictability, then the finish is exquisitely dramatic. Everything hits. Chaos is all over the place and it makes for the most memorable fight moments, reactions, both confrontations, confessionals, everything. This season never stops moving and surprising me with its characters and the things they do. Almost everyone this season is pretty much insane. They're like cartoon characters from the beginning. The big dumb doofus, the scientist that goes crazy, the conceited rich girl, the sweet country girl, the shield surfer dude, the overconfident brainiac. They all look like they came out of Total Drum Island. It's amazing, where did they find all of these people? But the real fun is watching all these zany dudes interact with the two most memorable characters of the Survivor 20s. Cass and Tony. They are the center of the hurricane this season. They drive all the reactions and the emotions. This season is everyone reacting to the antics of Chaos Cass and the Llama King. The fact that they have those nicknames should tell you everything. They are two of the most entertaining castaways of all time. This season is really good when the other contestants are reacting to each one's antics in the first 2/3 of the game, but the season gets excellent when the two of them go at it, and that's what makes the ending so exciting. Who's going to out-chaos the other? Tony drives Cass mad, and Cass drives Tony and everyone else mad, and all the confrontations that we get out of them are the hardest I have laughed in any Survivor season ever. It's an insane trip. It's full of shock and surprises, out-of-the-box strategic moves, and it keeps going at it all the way through to the end. It's a train that never stops. It takes you to places you never expect. This season has a lot of my favorites. My favorite travel console, my favorite quote, my favorite narrator, my favorite villain of all time, my favorite challenge comeback, my favorite final challenge, my favorite final vote, and most important of all, my favorite contestant and my favorite winner of all time. This season is with no doubt in my mind my favorite. Alright, that's all. That was pretty fun to make. And I'm hugely interested in hearing how you guys would describe your favorite season in 10 words or less. So leave a comment and like and subscribe and share and have a beer on me. And remember, even if these are just opinions, I am objectively right. I'm the Team Nanigan, and you should expect more content like this in the future. I hope you have the times of your lives. I'll see ya.